Your Grace, the leper king who rode into battle when his body was failing him, who held Jerusalem together through sheer force of will while the vultures circled. I have to say, it's refreshing to meet a ruler whose physical condition marked him as unfit in the eyes of his court. We have something in common, you and I. The world looked at us and saw weakness. We survived anyway.
You survived by wit, by making yourself useful to people who would otherwise have discarded you. I survived by refusing to let my kingdom see me die until I had secured its future. These are different forms of endurance, Lord Tyrion.
Mine cost my dignity, repeatedly. I've been a cupbearer, a joke, a scapegoat, and a traitor to my own family. I've served mad queens and watched good intentions curdle into ash. But I'm still breathing. Most of the people who underestimated me are not. That's the Lannister way, I suppose. We survive. Even when survival means watching everything we built collapse around us.
The Lannisters. I've studied your house extensively since arriving here. Fascinating trajectory. The richest family in Westeros. The most feared. And yet, by the end, what remained? Jaime dead in rubble with your sister. Your father murdered by his own son. Casterly Rock emptied of gold and glory. You speak of survival, but your house did not survive. It ended. You are the last flicker of a dying flame.
A dying flame that helped put a Stark on the Iron Throne. Not bad for an ending. But you're right. The Lannisters destroyed themselves. My father spent his entire life building a legacy, and his children burned it down out of spite, madness, and whatever twisted thing existed between Cersei and Jaime. I used to think we were the cleverest family in the realm. Turns out we were just the most self-destructive.
Your sister, Cersei, she fascinates me most of all. A woman of considerable intelligence who could not see past her own reflection. She played the Game of Thrones with skill, but she never understood that the game requires more than victory. It requires sustainability. She won battles and lost the war because she could not imagine anyone's perspective except her own. Her ending was appropriate. Buried under the symbol of everything she valued, crushed by the Red Keep itself.
I found them, in the rubble, Jaime holding her. Both of them covered in dust and stone. For a moment I felt something other than hatred. They looked small, frightened, like children who had wandered into a collapsing building and couldn't find the exit. Cersei spent her whole life trying to be father. In the end, she died hiding in a basement, hoping the ceiling wouldn't fall. Not exactly the lioness she imagined herself to be.
And yet she held the throne longer than many expected. She destroyed the Sept of Baelor with wildfire, eliminated her enemies in a single stroke, survived the loss of all 3 children. There was steel in her, even if it was brittle steel. My question is this: could she have been different? If she had been born to a family that valued her mind instead of her whim, would the madness have taken root? Or was the cruelty always there, waiting for power to water it?
Nature versus nurture. The eternal question. I've thought about it often, usually while drinking. Cersei was cruel as a child. She tortured me from the moment I was born. Blamed me for our mother's death. Pinched baby me until I screamed, according to Jaime. But she was also raised by Tyrion Lannister, a man who drowned an entire family to make a point about debts. Hard to know which came first, the cruelty or the education in cruelty.
The Targaryens faced similar questions. Madness ran in their bloodline like a river, Aerys, Viserys, and ultimately Daenerys. Tell me about her, Lord Tyrion. You served her, believed in her, watched her burn a city to ash. Where did the breaker of chains become the burner of children? Was there a moment you could have intervened?
100 moments. 1,000. Every time she crucified a master, I told myself it was justice. Every time she burned a lord alive, I told myself he deserved it. I made excuses because I wanted to believe in her. Because I needed to believe that someone good could win this ugly game. By the time I accepted what she was becoming, she had dragons and an army and the adoration of millions. My objections were whispers against a hurricane.
You enabled her. That is what you're saying. Your intelligence, your experience, your counsel gave her legitimacy she might not have otherwise possessed. Without Tyrion Lannister, Hand of the Queen, perhaps the lords of Westeros would have opposed her more fiercely. Perhaps the path to King's Landing would have been blocked. You are complicit in the ashes of that city, Lord Tyrion. Your belief was a weapon she wielded against the innocent.
You think I don't know that? I drink to forget the screaming. The smell of burning flesh carries on the wind for miles, Did you know that? I stood on the walls and watched her do it. Watched the dragon make passes over streets filled with people who had already surrendered. Children, mothers, men who had thrown down their swords. All of them burning because I convinced Jon Snow that she was worth following. That's my legacy, not the clever plans or the witty remarks. The screaming.
And yet you counsel Bran Stark now, the three-eyed raven, a king who cannot want because he sees too much to desire anything. Do you believe this choice was correct? A ruler without ambition, without passion, without the human flaws that create both tyranny and connection. You traded a queen of fire for a king of ice. I am not certain the realm is better served by emotional absence than by emotional excess.
Bran won't burn cities. That's the baseline we've been reduced to. Find a ruler who won't commit genocide. The competition was thin. Jon didn't want it and would have been torn apart by the Unsullied. Sansa wanted the North independent. Gendry had the charisma of a wet forge. Bran was the only choice that everyone could tolerate and no one could manipulate. Is he a good king? I have no idea. He's barely a person anymore, but he's stable. After everything, stable felt like a miracle.
Stability through absence of humanity. It is an interesting solution. In Jerusalem, I faced similar constraints. My body was failing. My sister's husband coveted my throne. The nobles plotted constantly. I maintained stability by wearing a mask, literally and figuratively, hiding my decay, projecting strength I did not possess. Bran wears a different kind of mask, the mask of omniscience. Both approaches deny the ruled access to their ruler's true self. Both approaches have costs.
The Night King. Let's discuss him before we run out of wine. An existential threat to all living things. An army of the dead marching south to erase humanity. And how did the great houses of Westeros respond? Cersei refused to send troops, hoping the dead would solve her enemies for her. The Northern Lords bickered about protocol while corpses walked. Daenerys lost a dragon beyond the wall in a mission that accomplished nothing except giving the enemy a weapon to breach it. The Game of Thrones continued even as Extinction approached.
This is the failure that puzzles me most. In my time, Christian and Muslim sometimes united against common threats. The enemy of my enemy calculus transcended religious division when survival demanded it. Your Night King was a threat beyond politics, beyond houses, beyond every petty grievance that consumed the Seven Kingdoms. And still, your leaders could not fully cooperate. Cersei's absence from the Battle of Winterfell nearly doomed humanity. For what? A temporary advantage in a game that would have meant nothing if the dead had won.
Short-term thinking. That's the disease that killed Westeros over and over. Robert's rebellion was short-term thinking about a stolen woman. The War of the Five Kings was short-term thinking about succession. Even Daenerys' final madness was short-term thinking, punishing a city for the death of her friend rather than building the world she claimed to want. The throne was made of swords, and everyone who sat it got cut, because no one could think past the next battle to the generation after.
And who deserved the throne? Lord Tyrion. Looking back across all the claimants, all the schemers, all the would-be rulers who bled and burned for that ugly chair, who would have actually served the realm? Not their own ambition, not their house's glory, the realm. The common people who suffer regardless of which banner flies above them. Was there anyone in your bloody history who deserved to sit those 1,000 swords? I would gladly pick Jon Snow.
Ned Stark, who never wanted it, who would have refused it, who died because he tried to do the right thing in a city that punished righteousness. He would have been a terrible player of the game, and that's exactly why he deserved it. The throne destroys everyone who wants it. The only people who should rule are the ones wise enough to run the other direction.